Academy, where brains go to broadcast.
Okay, so have you ever been reading something, maybe, I don't know, a report, an article, could even be just an important email, and the ideas just, they don't quite seem to connect. You find yourself sort of rereading, trying to figure out how one sentence links to the next. You feel a bit lost.
Yeah, definitely. Or maybe you've been on the flip side, right?
Oh, totally.
You've written something, you think it's perfectly clear, but then your reader gets, well, completely lost. They miss the connections you thought were obvious.
Exactly. Like, how did they not see that? Well, welcome to Cascademy. Today, we're diving into something that often gets overlooked, but is super powerful for clear communication. Transitions.
Transitions, yeah.
These aren't just, fancy words sprinkled in. Think of them more like the GPS for your readers.
That's a great analogy.
They guide people smoothly through your thoughts, making sure every idea links up, your arguments flow, and your message really lands. Doesn't matter if it's an academic paper, a business report, or, like we said, a really critical email.
And what's fascinating, I think, is how often even, experienced writers kind of gloss over them. They figure my ideas are brilliant, they'll speak for themselves. But transitions, they do so much more than just connect sentences. They're really about setting up logical links.
Okay.
And guiding your audience, through your actual thinking process. So they get not just what you're saying, but the why and the how it all fits together.
And that's exactly why this Cascademy lesson is so important for you listening. If you get good at transitions, it's like a shortcut, right? You become a better reader because you spot how arguments are built.
Absolutely. You see the structure.
Yeah, you see the structure. And maybe even more importantly, it makes your own writing way more effective. Helps you get your point across, persuade people, make sure you're understood clearly.
Definitely helps you achieve your goals with writing.
So let's get into it. When we talk about transitions, are we just talking about, like, verbal decorations, words to sound smarter, or is there something deeper going on?
Oh, much deeper. Not just decoration at all. It's really about their core purpose. Think of them as, well, I used the GPS analogy before, but maybe like road signs.
Okay, road signs, I like that.
Yeah, directions for your reader. They tell your audience how to process the info you're giving them, how to relate new ideas to the ones you just mentioned, how to organize it all in their head, even how to react sometimes.
So it's like giving mini instructions hidden in the text.
Exactly.
I always just thought of them as connectors, bridging gaps. But you're saying they signal really specific things.
Precisely. They signal the relationship between ideas.
Like the writing is actually whispering to the reader, hey, pay attention, another example is coming.
Yeah, or, hold on, here's something that contradicts what I just said.
Or maybe, okay, that was one side, but here's the real story. Or, the counter-argument.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
These cues are what weave your separate points into one solid, understandable argument. They're crucial.
Okay, so they guide the reader. But then, how do you know if your writing needs stronger transitions? Are there obvious signs?
Oh, absolutely. Your readers often give you the biggest clues, even if they don't use the word transition.
Like what kind of feedback?
Well, if you hear things like your writing feels choppy or jumpy, abrupt, or maybe someone says they need signposts, or just flat out asks, how is this related to what you just said?
Okay. So if people are struggling to follow your train of thought, that's a big red flag.
It's a very strong indicator, yeah.
It sounds like it might connect back to how we think versus how we write. Our brains make these leaps.
Right. Our thoughts can jump around quite naturally.
But on the page, those jumps can just leave your reader behind if you don't build the bridges.
Perfectly put. And another common situation. Think about when you've written something in chunks.
Oh, yeah, like different sections on different days.
Exactly. Or maybe it's a group project, different people wrote different parts.
Yeah.
Then you try to just paste it all together.
Right, the seams show.
The seams definitely show. And that's where transitions become absolutely vital. They smooth out those joins, make it feel like one coherent piece, not just, a collection of paragraphs.
Gotcha. So, okay, smoothing things out. But you mentioned something important earlier.
Ah, yes. But before we even get to the specific words like however or therefore,
Right.
we have to talk about the foundation. And that is transitions they simply cannot substitute for good organization.
Okay, so you can't just sprinkle transition words on a messy structure and hope it works.
Exactly right. They're the glue, but you need solid pieces to glue together first. If the underlying logic or flow of your points isn't sound, the best transition words in the world won't save it.
That makes a lot of sense. So how can someone practically check their organization before worrying about the transition words?
Well, a really helpful exercise I find is to go through your draft paragraph by paragraph.
Okay.
And in the margin, just jot down a single word or a very short phrase that summarizes the main point of each paragraph.
Like an outline after the fact.
Kind of, yeah. It helps you visually see the flow. Are the ideas connecting logically? Does the order make sense?
Mhm.
If you do that and still struggle to see how paragraph B follows paragraph A,
Then the problem might be deeper than just transitions.
precisely. The issue might be the actual structure, the order of your points, maybe even the points themselves. You might need to reorganize.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Can we use an example? Imagine you're writing about that fictional country, El Pai. It just went from dictatorship to democracy.
Okay, El Pais. Got it.
But your argument is that it's maybe not as democratic as people think.
Sure.
How would organization and transitions work together there?
Okay, good scenario. A strong way to organize that would be, say, paragraph A. Present the conventional view. Lay out all the reasons someone would call El Pais democratic now. Elections held, new constitution, etc.
Right, the positive picture.
Exactly. Then paragraph B, you start to challenge that. You refute or qualify the points made in paragraph A.
Okay, so direct contrast.
Yes. And the transition between A and B is critical here. It needs to signal that shift very clearly.
So what would that sound like?
You might use something like, despite these initial appearances of progress, or while these developments seem positive on the surface, followed by well, there are significant reasons to question how genuinely democratic El Pai's new government truly is.
Ah, okay, so phrases like, despite these appearances, or wild, are doing some serious heavy lifting there.
They absolutely are.
They're basically telling the reader, okay, hold that thought from paragraph A because now I'm going to complicate it or argue against it.
Exactly. It's an instruction. It signals the relationship. Contrast, qualification. It reinforces the logic without you having to awkwardly state, my next paragraph will disagree with my previous one.
Right, it's much smoother. It shows how the transition word or phrase really glues the argument's logic together.
Makes it coherent, persuasive,
Well, if that-
unified.
So this brings up another point. We used a phrase there, despite these initial appearances, transitions aren't always just single words like however or therefore, are they?
No, absolutely not. That's a great point to clarify. What's the full spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Well, a transition can be just one word. It can be a short phrase, like we just saw. It can be a full sentence. And sometimes, especially in longer pieces of writing.
Like a thesis or a big
Okay,
report.
exactly. It can even be an entire paragraph.
A whole paragraph just for transitioning.
Yes. But regardless of the length, word, phrase, sentence, paragraph, the function is the same. It looks back, summarizes or implies a summary of what came before,
Okay.
and then it looks forward, helping the reader anticipate or understand the new information that's coming up.
So tell me more about these different types. A whole transitional paragraph, when would you use that?
You see those mainly in longer, more complex works. Imagine you've just finished a big section, maybe exploring, I don't know, the historical context of something.
Right.
A transitional paragraph can briefly sum up the key takeaways from that history section and then clearly introduce the next major theme, maybe the economic impacts. It ensures the reader makes that leap with you smoothly.
Like a bridge between major sections.
Okay.
And then between regular paragraphs. That seems like the most common place we'd use them.
Definitely very common. These link the main idea of one paragraph to the main idea of the next. They can be, like we said, a word or two, however, furthermore, for example, or a phrase or a sentence.
And where do they usually go? Beginning of the next paragraph, end of the first.
Both are common, sometimes at the end of the first, sort of launching into the next, often at the very beginning of the second paragraph, explicitly stating the connection. Sometimes you might even see hints in both. The key is that they highlight the logical link.
Okay. And what about inside a paragraph? Do transitions work sentence to sentence too?
They do, yeah. Within paragraphs, they act as smaller cues, helping readers follow the development of a single idea, sentence by sentence.
Ah.
These are often single words or short phrases. Also, then, in fact, specifically, they just keep the internal logic flowing smoothly from one thought to the next within that paragraph's main idea.
This is super practical. So the big question then is, how do we choose the right word or phrase? There are so many options. It feels like you could just grab anything.
But that's where the precision comes in. It really boils down to first identifying the specific logical relationship you want to signal to your reader.
Okay, so think about the relationship first.
Yes. What are you trying to do with this next piece of information? Are you adding a similar point? Contrasting. Giving an example. Once you know the relationship, you can pick the tool.
Right.
And thankfully, English has a really rich vocabulary for this. You just need to know your options. For instance, if you want to show a similarity.
Like saying this idea is like the last one.
Exactly. You might use words like likewise, or similarly, or in the same way. These tell the reader, get ready for more of the same kind of thing.
Okay. And for the opposite, for contrast or pointing out an exception, that seems crucial for complex argument.
Absolutely crucial. For contrast, you've got however in contrast, on the other hand, but yet still. For exceptions, maybe despite, in spite of, nevertheless, nonetheless.
Wow. Okay, lots of options there. Each one has a slightly different feel, I guess.
It does. However, is very direct. Nevertheless, often implies conceding a point before making a counterpoint. Choosing carefully really matters for conveying the right nuance.
What about guiding someone through steps or a timeline?
Right, for sequence or order, that's where you use the classics. First, second, third, or next, then, finally. For time relationships, you have before, after, currently, later, meanwhile, simultaneously. Very straightforward, usually.
Makes sense. And if you need to give an example.
Clear signals are best. For example, for instance, specifically, to illustrate, namely, these tell the reader, okay, here comes a complete illustration of the general point I just made.
And sometimes you really want to emphasize a point, make sure it lands.
Yes, for emphasis, words like indeed, in fact, of course, truly even they act like a verbal highlighter.
Okay, what about cause and effect?
Ah, important one. For cause and effect, you're looking at therefore, consequently, thus, hence, so, accordingly, signals that one thing leads to another.
And just adding more support. Like, here's another reason.
For additional support or evidence, you have a whole bunch. Additionally, furthermore, moreover, also, in addition, besides, equally important.
And finally, wrapping it all up.
Conclusion or summary. Words like finally, in conclusion, in summary, to sum up thus, therefore, on the whole, these clearly signal you're bringing it to a close.
That's a fantastic breakdown. It's much more strategic than just picking a word that sounds good.
It has to be strategic. And remember, while words in the same category have similar functions, they aren't always interchangeable.
Right, the nuance matters.
Exactly. Checking a dictionary or a good writer's handbook can help you pick the most precise word. And actually, for everyone listening, we've put together a list of these expressions sorted by the relationship they signal in the notes for this Cascademy lesson.
Oh, brilliant. That'll be a great resource.
Definitely something to keep handy.
So, bringing this all together then, what's the main takeaway for you, our listener? It seems transitions aren't just about making writing sound better.
Not at all.
They make it fundamentally clearer, right? More logical,
Mm-hmm.
more persuasive in the end. They're like the hidden architects building understanding.
That's a perfect way to put it. They are tools for clarity, plain and simple, not decoration. When you consciously use them, you're not just polishing your writing, you're actively guiding how your reader thinks.
Mhm.
You're ensuring your ideas land the way you want them to. Which really leads to the question, doesn't it? How much more impact could your next piece of writing have if you paid this kind of conscious attention to the flow?
Yeah, that's powerful. Think about the last time you explained something complex and you felt truly understood.
Chances are, whether you realized it or not, you were using good transitions. That invisible hand was guiding your listener. Now just imagine applying that same precision, that same care to everything you write, making sure you're not just heard, but really truly understood. Every time.
Cascade me where brains go to broadcast. Cascade me, knowledge speaks, tuition sleeps.